GuitarLessons.com, the #1 name in guitar lessons online.
Hey, so in this lesson, we're going to be talking about the legato technique. And basically that involves two techniques put together, and they're called hammer-ons and pull-offs. Now, I was combining hammer-ons and pull-offs on a G major scale just a second ago, and it gives you kind of a nice violin-y sound as opposed to a sound that's going to have attack on every note, like picking every note. So let's take each one of those techniques in turn, hammer-on and pull-offs, learn each one, and then we'll put it together to play a G major scale, kind of like what I did at the beginning, and we'll see how it goes from there. So the first thing we're going to do is learn how to hammer on. And it's real self-explanatory kind of. You're going to take your index finger, put it on the 3rd fret of your low E string, play that note, pick it, and then come down hard on your 5th fret with your middle finger. Just hammer it on. That's what they call it. That it sounds like what it is. And you should have a good solid sound from that. You don't want it too soft, or you won't have a good tone. You don't want it too hard because you'll stress yourself out. You want to be relaxed. You want to have just a nice, good, solid tone. So once we have that first hammer-on right there, let's do another hammer-on onto the 7th fret with our pinky. We're going to come hit this first note again, hammer on, and hammer on with your pinky. So all together. Okay, so we've got the first little bit down, the hammer-ons. Now the pull-offs are a bit different, and they're a bit more difficult to get started with right off the bat. But don't worry, after a few days of practicing, you'll probably get it down just fine. So let's start with our pinky up here at the top note we were just playing. What you're going to do is you're going to take your pinky and pull off, like down and out a little bit. So basically you're picking, using your finger to pick the string instead of using your right hand to pick the string. And it sounds like this. That your pinky's on the 7th fret, and then pull off down to the 5th fret. If you want to practice that, just that, you can just do that all the time. Then you're going to pull off with your middle finger from your 5th fret to the 3rd fret. So altogether, you're going to have 2 pull-offs in a row if you're working your way down from your 7th fret to your 3rd fret. So pick the first note, pull off, pull off. And you can link those together and practice all 3 notes together. Something like that. So if you put them all together and go up with your hammer-ons and down with your pull-offs, you have your legato technique. So start with your hammer-ons, and then come back down with your pull-offs. If you link them together, it sounds like this. So, for an application for this technique, we're going to learn a shape for our G major scale that's a little bit longer than probably maybe some of the G scales you've seen in the past, but we'll start with that shape on the 6th string. Move to the next string, do the exact same thing with your index finger on the 3rd fret, middle finger on the 5th fret, and then your pinky finger on the 7th fret. So those 2 strings together sound like this. The next string is a little bit different. You're going to start on the 4th fret with your index finger. Middle finger is going to grab the 5th fret, and your pinky is going to grab the 7th fret. Next string is the same pattern, 4, 5, 7. The next string, we're going to shift up 1 fret and put our first finger on the 5th fret of our B string. Play that note. Hammer on to the 7th fret with our ring finger. Then hammer on one more time with our pinky finger onto the 8th fret. And then do the exact same thing on the next string, on the high E string. Start on your 5th fret, hammer on to the 7th, then hammer on to the 8th with your pinky. So the whole thing together slowly is this right here. Okay, now there's a couple things you want to remember when you're practicing your legato technique with a scale like this. The first thing that you want to remember is that you should try to make all the notes as even sounding as possible as far as volume. So instead of having one that sticks out like this, you want to make them as even sounding as possible. The second thing to remember is to have your timing even. So instead of having something, I don't know, like this, you want to have it be as even as possible on your timing. All the way up. Just be conscious of that. Have your volume and your timing be as even as possible. So let's go over some tips about coming down now for your pull-offs. Pull-offs can be a little bit harder for your left hand, especially if you're just a beginner. So what you want to do is just work basically on your ring finger and your pinky, because those are the weakest. You can just sit here and do pull-offs all day long with that for a while until you get that under your fingers really well. And you can change strings. You can pick any fret on any string. The lower you go, the harder it's going to be, because the thicker strings are harder to get a good legato technique on. You can pick, I don't know, a C note right here and a B. So let's come down our G major scale with our legato technique, starting on the 8th fret with our pinky. And you can mix it up too. You don't have to play straight up or down the scale. You can start on the 5th fret, you know, with your index finger. Stuff like that. There's no rules. Just do whatever's comfortable for you, and kind of focus on your pinky and your ring finger, because those are the weakest. So take this scale, apply it to songs that you like, and chord changes that you like. Take a metronome, practice it with it, and maybe go check out some Joe Satriani or something like that, because he's pretty much the king of like rock legato guitar playing.